All right, let's go to Saturday afternoon. Let's do the great Texans-Browns game.
Oh, the first game on Saturday.
Yeah.
This was Saturday was a great day for my exactas because I have San Francisco beating Baltimore, Kansas City, and Buffalo. I also
got knocked out.
I also have Baltimore beating San Francisco, which won't win me as much, but I have that also. So, like, Cleveland and Miami getting knocked out was perfect because I never had bets on those. But Cleveland goes out first at Houston. Remember, this was weird at the beginning. Cleveland punted on the first drive. It was nearly blocked. Then Houston, they had a pass to Dalton Schultz, which he just straight up dropped, and they had to punt. Then Cleveland with another 3-and-out. Then Houston ended up 3rd and 6 of the Cleveland 41. Stroud to Collins for 38, setting up 1st and goal of the 3. And Houston had to settle for a Fairbairn 21-yard field goal. So the Schultz drop and then not cashing in on the second drive, it only ended up being 3-0 Houston, 5:29 left in the first quarter. And then Cleveland got into it, right? Flacco to Njoku for 45 on the first play. 5 plays later, Hunt in from 1, 7-3 Cleveland. Houston did match it, 4 plays, 75 yards, Singletary for 29, then to Mechie for 27, 2 plays later to Collins from 15 out, 10-7 Houston, final seconds of the first quarter. But then Cleveland came right back, Flacco to Harrison Bryant for 47, end of the first quarter, 5 plays later, Flacco to Hunt for 11, 14-10 Cleveland, 12-18 left in the second quarter. And you're like, wow, this is going to be a shootout too. Houston, 1 play, Stroud to Brevin Jordan for 76. 17-14 Texans. I'm like, what are we watching?
I know.
17-14 Houston, 12 minutes left in the second quarter, the longest pass play of the season, longest play of the season for the Texans. Then on the first play of the ensuing drive, a PI that goes uncalled on Njoku. Remember, Flacco goes to Njoku. He's clearly interfered with, no flags. Mm-hmm. And it felt like from that moment on, nothing would ever go Cleveland's way again. They end up with a 3-and-out. Houston gets Tunsil back, who was out for a little bit. Stroud overthrows Collins wide open downfield on 3rd down, so there was a 3-and-out, so it was still a 3-point game. But Cleveland punted again. Houston, 8 plays, 71 yards. Stroud to Schultz for 37, touchdown. 24-14 Houston, 1:11 left in the second quarter, and that would be the score at the half. Cleveland's last 3 drives in the first half, 0 points, 18 yards. And then in the third quarter, Houston would punt, and here's where the game obviously gets out of hand. 1st and 10 at their own 34. 1st and 10 at the Houston 34. Flacco under pressure, throws it up, picked by Steven Nelson, 82 yards to the house, 31-14 Houston. Cleveland next possession, 4th and 2 at their own 33. Flacco pick 6 to Christian Harris, 38-14. The competitive portion of this game was over. Cleveland never did anything again. Turnover on downs, and the game fizzled from there, and a turnover on downs to close things out. So, by the way, here is the entirety of Cleveland's drives for the entire game. They lose huge to the Texans. They lose 45-14 in a completely non-competitive football game. But here's all 10 Houston drives. Punt, 3-and-out.
Cleveland drives, right?
Cleveland drives from the beginning of the game. Punt, 3-and-out. Touchdown. 3-and-out punt, halftime. 11 drives. Second half, pick six, downs. Turnover on downs. Those 3. So they literally had, out of 11 drives, one of which was the end of the half, but let's say 10 legit drives, 2 touchdowns, and 2 touchdowns, 3 turnover on downs, 3 punts, 2 pick sixes.
It's almost like they had a 38-year-old Joe Flacco quarterback in their team with absolutely no running game, Gil.
It's almost like we said a million times last week, he's got a stinker in him.
It's going to happen at some point. And that was a look at the over of the game. I'm happy it resulted that way, but that was the Cleveland dud that I think was coming at some point.
Listen, I talked myself into Houston last week. I'm glad I did. Because the second game, Miami, I got completely wrong. So I'm happy it did happen. But a lot of people had talked themselves into Cleveland being, remember the question was, who's the team you don't want to play in the playoffs? If it's not Baltimore and San Francisco, who's the team that gets there?
That answer became Cleveland.
That answer became Cleveland. Yeah. Yes, for a lot of people. Yeah, not so much.
I mean, if anything, I think this I mean, I'm still gonna say it's Buffalo if they count. I don't know if they count anymore, but like, I mean, Houston. I don't want to play his team right now.
Well,
this kid,
he's great.
He's
great.
He cannot be phased, Gil. I mean, this is wide receivers go down, offensive linemen go down. It doesn't matter. They can't run the ball. It doesn't matter.
C.J. Stroud and Jordan Love doing things that people didn't think they could do.
It's incredible. I think probably the Texans' defense shows up and lets them down at some point here during this run, but
in addition to my Matt LaFleur Coach of the Year and Puka Nacua Offensive Rookie of the Year tickets, where do I go to cash those? Where do I go to cash my NFL draft first pick in the draft C.J. Stroud tickets? Where do I go? I can't. Those are gone.
We're not going to shut up about that for years.
Houston at Kansas City. These are either one of these is going to be in Saturday morning. Houston, they stick in the Saturday morning. Saturday early, I should say. Houston at KC. I have KC minus 7.5. If it's Houston at Baltimore, I have Baltimore minus 10. We get tweets at Beating the Book. This is Michael Burns letting us know what one major sports book has as the lines. Green Bay at San Francisco, the only matchup that is already set in stone. He said minus 9.5 on that, with a total at 50.5, up from an opener of 49.5.
Okay.
My Detroit picks, as you said, my Detroit picks are almost dead on according to this. I had Detroit minus 2.5 against Philly. That's exactly what it is. Detroit at Tampa Bay, I had minus 6.5. It's minus 6. Total for Philly, Detroit would be 50.5. Total for Tampa Bay, Detroit would be 46.5. Houston games, I had Houston at Baltimore at 10. This one says 8.5 in favor of Baltimore, with a total of 45.5. How about that? Houston at Kansas City, I had 7.5. This says just 6. So lower than my guesses at 45.5.
I don't know that I'd be shocked if those play out.
Go to VSiN.com/subscribe to become a VSiN Pro subscriber today.